So y'all know how people be like, oh, it's about your faith. It's not about works. You need to operate out of faith. And you're just like, okay, I hear what you're saying, but what does that actually mean? So I want to use an analogy to illustrate that. So imagine God tells you, hey, I need you to, clean up this dirty house. But the one thing I want you to do is to wash the dishes. I know everything else needs to get done, but the one thing I want you to do is to wash the dishes. So you say, okay, God, cool, I got it. Well, guess what you do? You do the laundry, you make your bed, you vacuum, you wash the bathroom, well, clean the bathroom. You do everything else but the one thing that he tells you to do, which is to wash the dishes. So then God comes along and he inspects the house and he says, oh, okay, the house looks really good. However, you didn't do the one thing I asked you to do, which is to wash the dishes. So you say, yeah, God, I understand that, but I did everything else. I did 15 other things. I know you asked me to do one thing, but I did 15 other things. How come you're not happy with this? And God is just like, I appreciate it. I am happy, but at the end of the day, I only told you to do one thing and that one thing isn't done. So guess what you do, or guess how you react? You get upset with God. You say, okay, God, I understand, but these 15 other things I did for you should be acceptable. You should be happy. And God is just like, well, that's not what I asked you to do. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. God told you to do one thing, which is to wash the dishes. You ended up doing 15 other things that don't even include the one thing he told you to do, which is to wash the dishes. And now you are getting mad at God. You ended up doing more than what he asked you to do. And then when he's not pleased with that, you get upset with him. You are not operating by faith. You're operating in works. You thought the 15 other things that you did were going to be acceptable to him. And he just wanted you to do one thing. Oftentimes, God will tell us to do something. Forgive that person. And instead of forgiving that person, we'll go volunteer. We'll feed the homeless. We'll get into the church and participate in church events and stuff like that. We'll do everything but the one thing he tells us to do. And you want to know why we get upset or we don't do the one thing? Because that cost us. And that's exactly why he asked you to do that one thing. That cost you. He knows that you hate doing dishes. You would do anything else under the sun but to wash dishes. You despise washing dishes. That's exactly why he asked you to do that one thing, because it's going to cost you. It doesn't cost you to vacuum. It doesn't cost you to do laundry. But to do the one thing which you hate doing, which is doing the dishes, that's the one thing he asked you to do. He knows how hard it is for you to forgive people. It doesn't cost you to feed the homeless and to volunteer and to do all these good things in the community, but it will cost you to forgive that person. That's why he asked you to do it. But instead of us recognizing that, it's our fault, we'll try to put it on God. Oh, you should just be happy with this. And then this is how we start operating out of works. We think that doing everything else but the one thing he told us to do will be acceptable. And then guess what happens? We look at somebody do the one thing God told them to do and we get upset with them. I'm doing all this work and they're only doing one thing, but they're getting the blessings. Remember the story of Mary and Martha? Go look that up in the Bible. But I wanted to just bring this up as an example and as an analogy to illustrate what it means to operate in faith versus by works. When you operate in faith, you're doing the thing that God told you to do because there's strategy. But when you're operating in works, you're doing what you want to do, but then turning around and trying to force God, trying to manipulate God into accepting that. You can't manipulate God. So I would highly encourage you to do the one thing that he told you to do so you can receive the blessings.